Okay, today is Thursday, the 24th of August, 2023, and this is the SIG Cloud Provider migration extraction meeting. And Andrew and I think, are going to look at Antonio's PR to get the CI jobs cleaned up. So I guess I can share my screen. Okay. All right, and so we're talking about, are we talking about this one, I think?
Yes.
I'm just looking at what discussion had going on here.
Let me ping Antonio really quick right now and just ask him to rebase this PR because it has merge conflicts.
Okay.
Or if he can't, like ask him if one of us should just like take over PR.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Anyways, let's go through the okay, yeah.
You want to look through the code too?
Yeah, let's just go through it and just see if there's anything we're missing. Do you know how to run this locally?
I do not.
Okay. I think I know how, but it's been a you have a Google Cloud account you can use for it though, or no?
I do have we do have a GCP account that I can use to create clusters. Although I, unfortunately, like just yesterday, I got an email that apparently like their I don't have a key right now that I can do it with, because I guess our key got leaked earlier this week, so they had to decommission the key that we were using, and we're creating new ones. So I can't make it one right now, unfortunately.
Okay, all good, all good, all good. Like I'm hoping we don't even need it because if this PR is doing what we think, it should effectively be updating every single CI job that runs with Google Cloud on this PR to use CCM. So from what I can tell in the past, in the previous run, like it was all the tests were green. So I'm assuming it works. Um, so I guess like the next thing here is, um, yeah, like ask Antonio to rebase the PR or just like create your own branch, just like off of
Right.
his branch and just like open a new PR if he's
Okay.
busy. Um, and then if possible, try to spin up a cluster yourself on GCP using the changes here and see and just like do a sanity check on the cluster, make sure it's configuring everything correctly. Um, and then the follow up to that would be um, for all the pre-submit jobs that ran for this PR, cross-reference the test infra config for the proud job and just make sure that it's not overriding the cloud provider flag to something where it would not use the default to as
Right.
its new.
Okay.
Um,
And then what is the entry point? Like if I wanted, so let's say I stand up a cluster, I've got a kube config. What's the entry point to running these tests then?
yeah. Um,
Like,
so
am I just going to use kube test 2 or something like that to, well, I guess I'd already have a cluster up. So would I just build the binaries and run them or something?
so you have the cluster up. So I think this for the sanity check, I was just thinking just use kube control and just like check that the cloud controller manager is running. And yeah, I guess it would be good if you can SSH into the master VMs and just check what the flags are configured. Actually, you don't need that. You can just look at the static pod, right?
Right.
So just look at the static pod of the API server and the controller manager and just check that it's using external.
Okay. And I could like, since these are the scripts that are used, well, I guess like I want to make sure that I exercise these scripts, right? So if I just use like Ginkgo to run the end-to-end tests from the cloud directory, is that going to be enough to exercise these scripts? Or do I need to start with these scripts and let these scripts run the test?
Yeah, I don't remember, to be honest. I
Okay.
think you like I know for a fact that you can make it work with Ginkgo or with kubetest 2, but I don't know like the exact like configuration of the flags that would make it work.
Right. Because I know that some of the tests call back to these cluster scripts to do activity once the test is running. But these
Yeah.
ones look like they're also kind of setting up things before the tests run, like
Yeah.
setting up the
So
feature gates and whatnot.
yeah. So what I run is I just run the kube up script directly, which should stand up a cluster. But so
So
okay,
you,
so why don't I show you? Okay, so this is the command I used to run. Like so before the CL, this is what I would run to get a cloud controller manager up and running. I
okay,
would run this
okay.
like that. And you know what? Let me put it on the Slack channel. So it's
Yeah, totally. I was just going to copy it into the like agenda.
it's like I'll put in the subproject channel, or I'll just throw in the SIG channel. Okay. So this is what I ran like before, like or like if I wanted to create a cluster in in master right now that is using Cloud Control Manager, that's the command I ran. And so in theory, that should still work, assuming like nothing has changed significantly. And so I think what the expected behavior should be, if you checked out Antonio's branch, you shouldn't have to specifically specify like all of those parameters. Oh, except the node size and the master size. Well, actually, okay. So the node size and master size are irrelevant. I think I just used bigger values because like I didn't want to like deal with like the VM's too small, so it's like slow or anything like that.
Right.
Um, so maybe you could ignore those, but the feature gate override and the cloud provider flag override, in theory, those should not be needed anymore. And if you just ran like kube up, it should just kind of directly spin up CCM clusters.
Right. So once the kube finishes, I can just look and make sure that it's using the right cloud provider flags. And if it is, like if I see the
Yeah.
CCMs deployed and it's not using the KCM cloud loops, then like we should be good to go at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. I can try it out for sure.
Mhm.
I may not have time today, but maybe what I'll do is I'll give Antonio like a day to respond and see if he rebases it, then cool. And if not, then like maybe Monday, I could try this out and see if it works and everything.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, otherwise it looks pretty straightforward, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Walter and I did a bunch of like pre-work already to get it working. So we're just at the point where like we just have to flip the defaults, um,
Right, right,
and just
totally.
and then see what breaks. Like I'm sure things will break, but like
Yeah, for sure.
it's not clear like how many things will break.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, like, yeah, I'll give Antonio like a day to respond, and if I don't hear anything from him by like end of day tomorrow my time, which should be like plenty of time, assuming he's not out or something, then yeah, I can just set up an extra PR with take his changes, create a new PR, that's rebased. And yeah, like give it a try out on Monday, and if it works, then, cool. Maybe we can just go ahead and yeah, see what tests fail.
Sweet, sounds good.
Now, in terms of looking for the test failures, though, that we're going to be looking at, like, we need to look at like these are the tests that we're all going to be looking at, right?
Uh,
Like, am I going to need to look at like once we get this in place, is there going to be like a matrix that I need to look at in like the
yeah, I mean,
test grid or
test rate,
whatever?
right?
Okay.
So I think if the pre-submit passes, I'd say like just merge it.
Okay.
Assuming we can get approval from Jordan.
Right. And
Um,
then if things break, we could revert it or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. And
Okay.
there's a bit of like a timing here because 129 just kicked off. So
Right.
or not it didn't kick off, but like we kind of just finished up like 128. So the earlier we land this on a uh, in the earlier in the release cycle, then people aren't like if we break tests, like it's not a huge deal, and we have
Yeah.
plenty of time to like fix it.
Totally.
Yeah. Whereas like we don't want to be like landing this like right before code freeze and then
No,
breaking
yeah,
it.
no, I totally agree with you. Like now is a good time for us to do this. So like I'll try to I'll just try to prioritize it, and like probably the best I could say is probably Monday I could try and test it out.
Okay, sounds good. I don't have anything else other than that.
Uh I
I think there's one more concern from Jordan about making sure that the cloud provider GCP repo is testing against the latest KK, something like that. And I don't know if Antonio addressed that yet, but that would be the other remaining blocker. Let me just check. Uh,
is I guess is that does the version get injected through these scripts, or
no, it's something else.
because I would have
Okay,
expected it just to run against master if you were running against main or whatever, if you're running it that way. Like if I rebase this off master and just run it, isn't it going to be running against master Kubernetes?
no. So the other requirement is from the cloud provider GCP repo, like building the CCM off of the latest.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah, because we currently in the current setup, like in these pre-submits, we are testing against like some fixed known version of CCM that works, and there is no actual test coverage anymore for if the latest CCM code is compatible with the current version. And so the ask from Jordan was to um, also have like a periodic job from the GCP repo that is periodically like pulling latest master, like rebuilding CCM with that, and then testing it with. Um, so yeah, so I think that's the other thing that we need to address. I know Antonio did some work on it, but I don't know where that's at, and that's probably the other like big blocker here.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. That I guess that might require a little research on my end to understand it more. I mean, I totally get what you're saying. I'm just not sure how it all gets knit together.
yeah.
Yes. There was a since we're talking about the GCP repo, there was a question that I had from a colleague. Well, this isn't related to what we're talking about now, but I'll come back to that. But from here, what you're saying is like somehow we'll need to build a version of this that has like an updated Go version. It has updated like to 0.29, I guess.
Yeah. Or not even yeah, like the latest head, like
Right. Whatever
basically
master is.
because we don't test it in the pre-submit. If I merge a bad PR that breaks something in the main like cloud controller manager library or whatever, like we need it doesn't have to be like a PR blocking signal, but we need something like some signal like after the fact to say like, oh, you broke this. So because our tests aren't going to catch it because we're using like an older version, right? Yeah. So I'm doing some research right now, and like I thought Antonio made some progress here, but I'm not sure anymore. So that
Okay.
might be another thing that we have to address.
Okay. So ultimately, though, you're saying the pre-submit we should be on the cloud provider, or the pre-submit should be on KK to check the current versions of the cloud provider. That part's not like I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah, so there's basically like two things we want to do. Like first is we want to update all the pre-submit jobs and post-submit jobs in KK to use Cloud Controller Manager. But it doesn't have to be a Cloud Controller Manager that's built on the latest version, like the latest source code. It can be like N-1 version of it, as long as it brings up the cluster and like has it working.
Right.
So it's basically what we do with like the CNI or the CSI. Like we can't like compile like a CNI version based on like the latest CNI APIs. We kind of just rely on the fact that like we're using some last known version that works and testing that against the latest KK binaries. So that's the first part. But because we now lack this test coverage, where changing some CCM code isn't actually caught by the test, we need a separate like periodic job on the other repos. Like so from the GCP repo, we need to be able to basically periodically like check that the some latest source code change in KK isn't breaking like the CCM, the latest version of CCM from running.
Right.
So that effectively gives us like complete code coverage because we are testing that the core components are compatible with CCM. And then from the GCP repo, we are testing that like the latest source isn't causing like a build error or like,
Right.
or
Right.
regression.
And this actually fits in really nicely with the testing work that I'm doing, because like what I'm doing right now is like building out tests that you could build from the cloud provider repo. So like I think ultimately, like what you're saying now, just to make sure I got this right, is in the cloud provider repo, we should have a pre-submit test that basically just deploys Kubernetes and says, okay, if the cluster comes up and is in a healthy state, then like we're good to go. Basically, we haven't broken the basic assumptions. So that should be like our first test. And then like the work that I'm doing, hopefully eventually we get to a place where in the cloud provider repo, not only will we run a pre-submit that starts a cluster, but it will then also run a series of cloud controller tests to make sure that everything works, like for whatever that means for the cloud provider.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I think it makes sense to me. I don't know all the pieces, but I guess that's part of learning all this. So
Okay. Yeah, same here.
yeah,
Yeah.
the only other topic I had was I just wanted to bring up this PR just to see if maybe we could get some more eyes from your side on it. Um, there's a PR up to remove Bazel in favor of like a makefile for the provider, and my colleague Nolan has been looking at this and just was curious if might be any activity or anything.
Yeah, I remember there's a Mike Denise had a PR open to do the same thing, but it was
Okay.
like a work in progress PR that didn't really get
Yeah.
much love. So I think there's general agreement from the maintainers that we want this, but I don't know how urgent it is.
Okay. Well, I guess at this point, all it takes is like some more reviews on it, to see if it
Yeah.
works the way you guys expected or whatever.
Yep. Obviously, like yeah, like get all the pre-submits passing and then
Yeah.
take it from there. I imagine that this might be a chicken and egg problem, but I bet a lot of those pre-submit jobs specifically invoke like a Bazel command to build and publish the image. And
Right.
so if your source is removing Bazel and using make, then you have to like synchronize the CI change to like use the make file and then get the pre-submit passing. And then
Right.
I don't
Totally.
know how we would work around that, but that would be one thing to address first.
Okay. Okay. So then I guess like from my perspective, like if I need like how do you like if you do you ever need to rebuild this locally? Do you just use Bazel to rebuild it, or do you use like Docker files or something to build it?
I use Bazel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. It's like the only project I have to deal with that uses Bazel, but like, yeah, I'm trying to see. I don't remember. I don't have the command offhand to build the image, but
Okay.
there's a Bazel target in there somewhere.
Okay. Well, I will try it. I've had difficulties with Bazel in the past, so
Yeah, don't blame you. Okay.
okay. Well, I think it all it makes sense to me. Now the question is, can we get it done? And I'll just see what Antonio says, and then if need be, I'll start working on Monday or something.
Okay. Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay. I guess anything else we should talk about?
Nope. Don't have much.
Okay. Well, I guess have a good day then, and have a good
Yeah.
weekend, and
Yeah.
we'll talk next week.
Okay. See you around. Bye.
Later. Thanks, Andrew.